Alright, here it is. We Are Not Your Kind. Slipknot's new album. I want to say right off the bat, I was not going to review this album. I was not planning on doing a regular review like I'm doing right now. I had a couple minutes in my vlog that I was just like, I'll just talk about it for a couple minutes, and then I realized, nah, I need to do a full-blown review. I was just talking too much already, and was just like, I just need to go and explain stuff more. It's not only going to be a review about this album, but kind of talking about my feelings on Slipknot in general, the evolution of the 6 albums that they've put out, and what makes them great. Why I will probably listen to this album more than others, but not because it's good. So, let's start there. The first thing I'll say is that I think it's lazy. I think there's a lot of laziness on this album. When Unsainted came out, that first single, I was like, okay, this is like stock Slipknot right now. I feel like there's 3 eras of Slipknot, and it's each like the albums in pairs, basically like self-titled, and then Iowa, and then Volume 3 and All Hope Is Gone go together pretty nicely, and then the Gray Chapter and this, unfortunately, go together really nicely too. So Unsainted just seemed like, hey, this is like your anthemic single. I was like, but if that's the single you're putting out, I'm not like too excited for the album, and I guess I was kind of right. I didn't listen to any other singles. Like I didn't listen to was it Birth of Cruel when that came out? Birth of the Cruel. I just was like, I'll just whatever. I just got the album, gave it a couple listens. Unsainted is still a good song. Like objectively, like it's a good song. There's some heaters on here, some dingers. But overall, it's like I feel like it's lazy. Songs like there's like stock Slipknot that I feel is like, oh, that's good. Like all of this is very Slipknot. Like it's not like oh, this sounds like a completely different band. Like all of Slipknot generally sounds like Slipknot, but obviously evolution of the band, things change, artists grow, which is great. So that's the other thing. I'm not always comparing like the benchmark to their old stuff, and we'll get into that. But it's just not great, and that's more objectively, not necessarily just comparing it to other albums. But that is a thing that obviously we have to do. So I'll say right off the bat, the songs that I keep returning to are Unsainted, Nero Forte, I don't know, like Old Latin, I think, and Solway Firth. Those are the 3 that I keep returning to. Birth of the Cruel and Critical Darling, I get into those a little bit as well. But there are some stinkers, I think. I haven't memorized all the tracks, that's why I got, like, My Pain, Orphan, Not Long for This World, Red Flag, like, these are things in the last half of the album, and I'm glad that at least they close it out with Solway Firth, because that's a pretty good jam. But, those other songs, like, there's just, like, they're kind of just not that great. Like, they seem lazy, they seem very stock. What's even, like, I don't know how to explain stock, I just mean, it just seems like, yeah, okay, here it is. There you go. That's a Slipknot song. There it is. Like, it's just the most minimal effort they could put in and still call it a Slipknot song. Almost. Except for this other huge problem I have with this album, and it's these things like that are so lazy to me. One, insert coin, like the intro, lazy. It doesn't do anything for the album at all. It doesn't set the tone. It's not like a fun little like intro. It's definitely not a powerful intro. Like we'll talk about other intros on other albums that they've had. But then, things like Spiders and My Pain, like, what are you doing? It's... Every album has had kind of a slower, sad / creepy song. And, most of the time that's been good. On Gray Chapter, kind of, like, there were some cringy moments, and that's the crappy part. This is the era of cringe for Slipknot. It's on Gray Chapter, it's on here too. There's just moments. There's just moments of cringe that I've never had before on the first 4 Slipknot albums. I've never felt cringe. Like these Spider and My Pain, like it seems forced, it seems contrived, it seems disingenuous, and just like, I guess we need one of those like slower creepy jams, don't we? and it's not powerful. It's lazy. It's very lazy. It doesn't, I hate doing this because like I'm an artist. I've been in bands, and I mean I'm a visual artist. I write, I do photography, digital stuff, whatever. So some of this stuff is really hard to say because I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, they're not doing what they want to do, they're selling out. I don't think anyone's selling out unless they're doing something explicitly for money, right? If they're doing what they want to do and it just coincidentally happens to be more commercial, which I think the last album and this album are both more commercial than the 4 previous, if that's just coincidence, then I don't think you're selling out. That's just what you wanted to do. You wanted to hone in your sound, refine it, do some things, whatever, right? Like, I mean, that's fine. It's not my jam. It's not what I want to listen to, but I don't want to accuse someone of selling out. But I feel like the songs were lazy, and then I question why were they lazy if you're just putting this out to be a thing. Like just to be like, we need one of those, and we need one of these, and we need one that's like this, and we need one that's like that. I don't know. I just... They don't add to the album, and if they're not adding to the album, they're taking away from the album. Like, there's a couple songs that I'm like, I can listen to those, and it doesn't really give me a lot. I can just keep it on in the background a bit or whatever. It doesn't bother me that much. And then, like I said, there's those 3 that I definitely return to, and I'm, like, enjoying them. And then there's these other ones that are cringy. Like, they're just straight up cringy. I can't listen to them. And, like, the little interludes are so useless. And this is the thing that I hate. And this kind of gets to this bigger point, because I think this is going to be a pretty short review. This bigger point of... I will probably listen to this album and Grey Chapter more than I would ever listen... For guaranteed, I would listen to them more than I listened to Self-Titled and Iowa. And we're going to get into why. These are more listenable because they're not as powerful. AKA, they're not as good. The thing that Slipknot does at its best, what Slipknot does best, they don't do anymore. What they did best, they don't do anymore. And to me, that's what was so great and amazing about the band that I connected with, was that on the Self-Titled and on Iowa, it's not just that, it was like heavier and whatever. Like, it's not just that. It's not just about the riffs or like how heavy they got, like heavy in this traditional sense that we talk about in the first 2 Slipknot albums. It's the fact that they were powerful. They were dark. They were full of pain. Like, the thing about pain is it demands to be felt, right? Like, that's a quote, like, and that's very true. Pain demands to be felt, and they were heard. Like, those 2 albums, like, people, you couldn't ignore it. You couldn't ignore the sincerity and genuine everything that was there. Like, I don't want to overuse the word pain, but, like, you go from actually feeling the pain on the intro to, like, Iowa, just this, I mean, I don't want to get into all the details of who was doing what and whatever, but I mean, like, this sound that makes you feel, it brings you down before the album really starts. You hear this, these distorted screams and voices, and it's just like, that is somebody losing it. Like, I believe it was Sid in the vocal booth. But it was just like, that, that is real, and I could feel that, I felt that. Even, like, the intro on the Self-Titled, it's not the same as the intro for Iowa, but I mean, it still, like, sets a tone. It sets this tone, like, I'm going to get into something here. Like, I'm about to enter into a zone here that I don't know if I'm prepared for. And it comes back to this thing of, like, I feel like there was a certain era or a certain time where music was dangerous, and I've talked about this with some earlier Marilyn Manson albums and stuff, and those 2 albums, the first 2 Slipknot albums, fit right into that. And I mean, I expect people to evolve, or artists to evolve and grow and whatever, and you can't maintain the same intensity. Things change, the social climate changes, personal battles and stuff get resolved. Like, things change, and if you as a person are in a healthier place, that's fantastic. Is it great for art? It can be, but I mean, to go from this first album, which the pain cannot be ignored on it, to titling a song My Pain, and I feel like that pain is not genuine. Like, that's the feeling I get from the song, as just a fan, an audience member, a listener, an artist, a critical eye. Like, that's a long way to fall. Like I said, there's some songs on here musically, vocally, like lyrically still that are good. There's good songs on this album, but to go from the first two albums, like the first four albums are whole. They are whole pieces to me. They all fit nicely. There's obviously some songs I listen to more than others, whatever. But there's not really any cringy moments. And there's anthemic moments, right? Like, especially with Volume 3, they started having these anthemic Well, I mean, Iowa, people equal shit. Like, that's an anthem, right? They've always had mad hooks. They've always had just great choruses. Like, that stuff is there. It's not just about the fact that, the albums were brutal, like, whatever. Like, Tattered and Torn is one of my favorites, and a lot of people don't like it, and I think it was originally off Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat. But, like, that to me, that drags you down to a place. Or like Iowa, like the closing track, like and that's the thing. So and again, Volume 3 and like Subliminal Verses and All Hope Is Gone still to me feel as a whole like they are strong albums, and Grade Chapter and We Are Not Your Kind just fall apart. Like, especially this last album. I mean, like, I feel like this is an extension of Grade Chapter and not a good one. I honestly don't know which album is worse as a whole, like, because there's little shining moments, and then there's just stuff, it just completely falls apart. It's off the rails. It seems disingenuine. It seems forced. It seems, I don't want to go I guess I'm going as far as saying it seems fake. It seems just not, and like I said, I hate to say that, because one of the things I love about Slipknot is the fact that they don't give a shit, and they're not, they don't give a shit, which is good, and they're doing the stuff that they want to do, and that's what I love about artists when they're like, we're doing what we want to do for us. We don't care about this or that or the other thing. If you like it, fuck off. If you don't like it, fuck off. Like I don't know. It's difficult, I'm not. Yeah. Anyway. I started to get away from it, but I mean, one of the things too that gets lazy here, like I said, are these little interludes and stuff that don't. I mean, I guess I talked about it already, but even songs that are like these slower, creepier songs that they felt like they had to do on this, like that's what it comes off as. Like, I mean, Gently, that's or on Iowa, like I can't even remember the name of anything right now. Scissors and Gently, like those two songs, like that felt right. That felt good. I mean, in a bad way. Like, or it felt bad in a good way. Like, I mean, it felt genuine, and I felt it. So the songs that they do that are like that now, that are these creepier, slower, supposed to be darker vibe, it just seems like, hey, you're just playing into like, it's like pop creepy. It's like, oh, this is what someone who really isn't genuinely, it's like for, I don't know, it's just it's like trying to be cool, but it's not, because it's not honest. It doesn't feel honest. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. Like, I get, like, it's what I expected at this point, I guess, which is sucky. I was hoping to get surprised and hoping that it would just end up like blowing me away. Man, these people, these like critics, they're calling it like, oh, it's their magnum opus, it's their masterpiece, it's this like this metal master. No, it's not. It's not. Objectively, it's not, and comparing it to Slipknot as a whole, it's not. This album is not that great across the board. For any metal album, it is not that great. There are moments where it falls flat. Too many moments. And a great album doesn't need to fall flat at all. It doesn't need to. It should be all killer, no filler, right? I don't know how, like, if you're going to put these little interludes on here, they better add to the album. These little instrumental pieces, like, they don't add to it. They waste my time. It's not a great album. I don't know if I could even call it a good album. It has great moments, as good moments. I don't know what the ratio is on this thing, but I think, like, for me, at least a quarter of this album is unlistenable for me. I'm just like, nah, I just can't. It's cringy. I mean, those are words I've used for this. Cringy, lazy, disingenuous. Whatever. That's where I got to leave it off. That's really unfortunate. But that's, yeah, like I said, it sucks to feel it that way, and sucks to say it, but We'll see you on another time.